In this video, we're going to go ahead and try to make a health bar for something like a game or some sort of app in WPF and VB.net. So we go ahead and start up Visual Studio, and when you first start up and go select the new project, you're going to go ahead and name your project. I'm going to call mine Health Bar, and make sure that you know exactly where you're saving that, and then click OK. So the first thing I want to do is change the name of this window here. So I'm going to go ahead and select my window up here, and then I'm going to change the title. Okay. So I'm going to add a progress bar because I'm going to use that as a health bar. I'm not going to create one from scratch because it's unnecessary. So I'll go ahead and go into the all WPF controls, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use a progress bar for this. So I'm going to double click on the progress bar, and I'm going to go ahead and position that, and maybe even resize it while I'm here. And then I'm going to name that immediately. Going here to the properties, and I'm going to name that PB Health. That's going to be the character's health or something like that. The next thing I want to do is, I don't really want to use a grid here. If you go down here into my window, when I select this, you see down here I'm using a grid. My progress bar is inside of that grid, and I have my window above here. I actually want to use a canvas so I can have a little bit more free movement in my application or on my window. So I'm just going to type canvas, hit enter, and it'll automatically change the name of the closing tag once I do that. Now this progress bar has a property in it called value. Right now value is 0. If I were to make value equal 50, you'll see that it automatically goes up to the 50 mark. And if I wanted to make it 100, you'll see what happens is that it fills up the bar. So I guess the idea would be, if you want this to be, let's say like a health bar, you normally would probably start with it full, and then the person would lose, or the character would lose health. So let's do it that way, to where we are full, and then the health will go down. So I'm gonna leave this value up to 100. And to control this value, I'm going to create a button to control this value. So I'm going to go here to the menu, to the tools, and I'm going to double click a button, and I want this button to actually bring down the health. So I'm going to just put this button over here, and this button will bring down the health. And so I'm going to call this, let me go here to the name, BTN lose health. There we go. And then inside of the content, I'm going to say negative health for now, until we decide, oh, no, I can't. Yes, we can do that. There we go. And just to be clear that I'm going to be losing health, I'm going to go up here to the brush, and I'm going to go to the background. I'm going to change that to red, so I can know that definitely that's not good, to be losing health. So, and in order to add the code to this, because I don't really need to add the code to this, I just need to make sure that this is named, which I've already done. In order to add the code to this, I'm just going to go ahead and double click this so the system can send me to the code behind. So I'm going to double click this, and a lot of times this happens where you double click and it thinks that you want to edit the name. So if that is the case, all you need to do is hit the escape key and then try it again. Now you see what it does here. It writes this procedure here for me. It's a blank procedure, but all I need to do is make sure that my button has a name before I double click it, so it writes the name for me, and then write my code up in here, so it makes things a lot faster for me. So now all I need to do is use that property of the progress bar, that value property, and actually start subtracting from it every time this button is clicked. So I'm going to type here PB Health, which was the name of the progress bar, and the property that I'm looking for is the value property. And what I want to do to that is I want to minus 10, let's say. Okay, so I'm going to say the value property equals negative 10. And let's try that out. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Now every time I click this, it completely deleted everything. And the reason why it deleted everything, as you can see, it went all the way down to nothing. That's not what we expected. Well, let's think about the logic here. This is 0 starting here. Negative 10 is back here. So that's exactly what it was supposed to do. What we intended it to do is take 100 and then start subtracting 10. So let's look at how we can do that. So basically what we intended to do was do something like this. Now this will give us the desired result that we were expecting initially, as you can see. But there's a shortcut way to do this. You don't have to go ahead and say pbhealth.value equals pbhealth.value minus 10. What you can do is you can just say pbhealth.value equals or negative equals minus equals 10, and that does exactly the same thing as what I had written before, except it's a lot cleaner and it's still readable. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that, hit F5, and now as you can see it does exactly the same thing every time I click. So now let's try to add a button to where we make it to where when we click it, it adds health. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this button. I'm holding down Alt and then I drag that button over to copy it. I want to make sure I change the name. Instead of lose, just put gain. And instead of red, I'll make it green. And in the inside of here, I'm going to put plus. Now I'm going to go inside of this button by double clicking, and it created the name, proper name, and it created the procedure for me to be able to type what I want to be able to type in there. So it would be exactly the same thing as this, right? Except instead of minus equals, I'm going to want plus equals. So let's go ahead and try that out. I can lose health and I can gain health. So that's how you can create a health bar inside of VB and WPF. And we use these buttons. So the next thing we want to be able to do is maybe make this a little bit more intuitive. You know, maybe add a picture here of a character or something like that. And then we may want to add some text in here. So we're going to leave this video here, and I'll see you in the next video. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and change this into images. We'll change this one into images, and then we'll put some text inside of the health bar. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video.